Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Stotz Dairy Virtual Chat. I am Brittany with the Discover Dairy program, and we are so excited that you're joining us today as we get to meet Farmer Jen and, of course, your adorable calves, Charlie, Elsie, and Teddy. First, this live chat is part of the Adopt a Cow program. More than 43,000 classes and 1.7 million students joined the fund for free this year. Thanks to our generous supporters like the Dairy Management West and the Dairy Excellence Foundation. If you'd like to join the fund next year, registration and re-enrollment actually opens this week on May 1st. You can go to discoverdairy.com/adopt, and there you can either log in and re-enroll, or if you're new to the program, go ahead and create an account and get started. Next, today's event is live, so that chat is open both on Facebook and YouTube, and we encourage you to use those to go ahead and send us your questions and interact with us as we go. I know Farmer Jen is excited to answer those questions, and I'm excited to hear from all of you. Now, before we go to Farmer Jen, let's see who is joining us so far today. So let's go to the top of that chat and find the first person who's joined us. So before we could even get here, looks like Miss Wiggins was on. So hello, we're so excited to have you. Thank you so much. We've got, let's see, we have lots of people joining us. We have some fourth graders from Tucson. We've got, let's see, Mrs. Anderson, second grade class from Chandler. We have Miss Kane's class. We have Miss Oka's class. We've got some folks who have adopted all three of them, which is exciting. So we've got some good representation from all of them. We've got folks from Gilbert, Arizona, from Mesa, Arizona. Got some folks from New Mexico. Hello. Let's see. We've also have third graders who are joining us. Mrs. White's class. We have Belen Soda Elementary, Mrs. Eaton's class. And how about one more here? We've got fifth graders from Sycamore. Oh, and how about Villa de Paz, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but Mrs. Alexander's fourth and fifth grade classes. So hello and welcome all. I see many, many more are joining us. Thank you for letting us know where you're coming from. I'm excited to be joining you from the East Coast over here, but of course, Farmer Jen is right around you all, and I'm excited to introduce you to her. So without further ado, I introduce you to Farmer Jen. Hey, Farmer Jen, how are you doing today?
Good afternoon. How are you guys all doing? I hope you're doing good.
Yeah, we are doing really well, and we're excited to be here with you.
Good. So I'm out here, it's in Buckeye, Arizona, so far west side of the Phoenix area. I've got Charlie and Ellie out here who are doing the best they can to do the lick test, I guess. But yeah, you guys can see now they are what they're about 7 months old. They have all reached the age of 40 inches tall and 400 pounds. They're actually going to get weighed tomorrow for their last chance.
Oh, hey, Farmer Jen, I think we might have lost her audio.
And then they are going to move across the street over to Cal High School.
Can you repeat that one more time, Farmer Jen? Sorry, we actually lost your audio. I can hear you now, though. Go ahead.
I said, so the cows, they're all getting weighed tomorrow. That's when their last graduation elementary school will get across the street over there from Cal Elementary School over to Cal High School. So it's a big day for them. That's also when they change what food that they're eating. So before we're getting just grain and alfalfa, and starting tomorrow, they're going to get a lot more byproducts, which is stuff that is left over from the human food chain. So they'll start eating stuff like ginger, which is left over from making clothes. They'll start eating almond hulls, which is left over from
It's okay. If our camera wants to just unmute, maybe we'll try that. I was able to hear you from maybe we try just the camera audio instead of your phone audio. There we go. Yep, let's try that. I was able to hear you. Just speak nice and loud. Sorry, continue. You were talking about the awesome byproducts.
So we do a lot of byproducts here on the dairy the older cows will eat. Like we feed them almond hulls, which is left over from the almonds that you guys would be eating. We do gin trash, which is the part of the cotton that's left over after they take all the cotton out to make t-shirts. So it's like the seeds and the cotton where the quality wasn't good enough to actually get turned into a t-shirt.
That is so cool. And so cows can eat that?
Yes.
How does that? So how are they able to digest something like
So
that we obviously can't?
because cows are ruminants, they have 4 parts to their stomach. And what they do is they eat the food. The first part of their stomach just traps any rocks or anything else that's heavy that they ate on accident, and it gets stuck in there so that it doesn't go through the rest of their system. After that is the rumen, and that is where all the food sits, and it starts to be digested by all of the microbes that the cows have in their stomach. And so that's how, because the cows aren't actually digesting the food, it's all of the microbes that are in their stomach. And after they get a chance to work at it, there's something that's kind of funny that happens. The cow will do what she's called regurgitating her cud, which is basically she kind of just throws up her food into a little ball, and then she chews it again before she swallows it, and then it'll go back through the rumen and then into the, and gosh, this is going back to my school days, the abomasum and the omasum. And that's where they subtract out, or they take out the nutrients and they take out all the water they need before it continues through the rest of it and becomes manure. And as part of our sustainability, we're then using the manure. We collect all the manure every year and we put it out. Are we good?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, we put it out on the fields, and because it's really good fertilizer, and we'll use that for the next year to grow the crops that they eat the following year. So it's all the
That's
big food
amazing.
circle of life.
Wow, that is so cool that cows are able to take the things that we can't eat, turn them into energy and all the good stuff so they can eat it. Then they, turn that into energy and eventually milk when they're older. And then you can even use the poop, which is it's just mind-blowing. There's nothing that's going to waste on a dairy farm, which is just incredible. I absolutely love that. Farmer
Exactly.
Jen, what does
Yes.
your average day look like on the farm?
So I start pretty early. I usually get up and I'm out on the dairy around 5 a.m. And I, as management, I'm mostly checking on people, and I like to say I'm solving other people's problems. So they'll call me if they have a problem. I go talk with everybody. I'm bringing supplies. And then also one of my main jobs is every calf that is born on the dairy, it is my job to go check on the calf, make sure that she's doing as best as she can be, identify any problems that she might be having, any medications she might need. And then I give her her number and then enroll her into the system so that she becomes an actual part of the dairy.
Oh my gosh.
But the rest of the day, mostly I on a daily basis, I'm just checking cows, talking to people, fixing problems, that kind of thing. On more of a monthly basis, I work with the vet when he comes out to the dairy. I'll work with the nutritionist when he comes out to the dairy. We've got other consultants that if we have any problems, I'll bring them out, show them what the problem is, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm in charge of all of the supplies on the dairy. So anytime we need to order something, I'm the one that's doing all the inventory and making sure that we're good to go on that. But yeah, and then I have the Lowe's card. So if anybody needs parts for, something breaks, they send me to Lowe's with a list of what they need so that I can go to it. But,
that keeps some diversity in your day, right?
But I like to say, my job is just making sure that everything is going good and taking care of problems and then doing the jobs nobody else wants to do. I mean, it's the life of a manager, I guess.
Oh my goodness. Well, we really appreciate all the work that you put in to take care of these girls.
Oh,
now,
so I've got Charlie right here.
I was going to say, I thought I saw her tag say Charlie.
Is one of my, actually, she's my first generational adopt-a-calf. So her mom was, I think, in my second year adopt-a-calf program, her mom was Charlotte. And when Charlie was born, on the exact day that I was supposed to be picking calves, I knew it was meant to be. So I named her after her mom so that we could remember. And then we have got Elsie right over here. Elsie is a little bit more standoffish. She doesn't like head scratches quite as much as Charlie does. And then, we got Teddy in the background, which Teddy, if you guys remember, Teddy went through some pneumonia So she had to get a lot of shots because that's the best way to get a cow medicine. And so you guys know when you go to the doctor and you get a shot, it can be a little bit painful. So she doesn't like people as much as some of the other calves because she's worried that we're going to go give her another shot of antibiotics to help her get over her pneumonia. But she's doing really good now. And
Cool.
I was very impressed with how she pulled through. But somebody
Aw.
asked me how we named him. Obviously, we named Charlie after her mom. Elsie was because I went on Facebook and said, what should I name the next adopt-a-calf? And somebody said Elsie, and I like that name. And then Teddy I picked because the day she was born, she was so small and so cute and so fuzzy that I thought she looked like a teddy bear. And so I picked her because she was so cute. But that's how we picked the 3 calves names this year. And I am
That's
always
cool.
open to suggestion. Every year that I do this program, I always have to rack my brain and come up with names for calves. So if you guys can ever think of a name, feel free. I always post on Facebook when we're going to do the program again. Put it in the comments of what you think her name should be next year.
Awesome. Yeah, we would love to hear some name suggestions. Feel free to drop them in the chat now. We can always share them with Jen too ahead of time and maybe prepare for next year. So Farmer Jen, I think we actually earlier you had shared the estimated heights and weights, but we
She froze. I still hear. Okay, there we go.
Sorry, you froze. Ask it again. I heard you heard heights and weights.
Oh yeah, if you could refresh us on the heights and weights, that would be great.
Yes. We're going to know for sure tomorrow what their height and weight is. But right now, kind of the standard that we want for all of the calves at this age is 40 inches and 400 pounds. And so the way that we measure them is that we get a height stick and we actually put it right here at the top of their shoulder blades because you don't want to measure them at the top of their head because they might lift their head up. Like you can see Charlie showing you. Their head down, but no matter what, their shoulders are at the same height. And the way that we measure them is I have a really long clock tape measure, and instead of having inches on it, it has pounds. And we wrap it around them about right here, go underneath between their legs, and whatever it touches at, that's how much she weighs. And I mean, you'll
That's
like this. This was done at the University of Pennsylvania, where they figured out how the correlation between width around the chest and how much they weigh.
Wow. That is cool. So you can, so I guess you don't really have them go on a scale. So that's interesting that you can just wrap a little tape around them and check out their height and weight. So for anyone that's tracking their heights and weights, we said about 400 pounds and about 40 inches tall since our last update, which I know they were under that from last time. Just as a reminder for everyone, they were about 38 or 39 inches. And then sporadically, Elsie was 340 pounds, Teddy was 350, Charlie was 375. So they are all growing strong and certainly eating lots of good food and keeping up with their appetite and growing. Actually, speaking of food, can you talk about just briefly or maybe show us what they are eating right now? Is that a possibility?
Yeah. If you want to follow me over here, we'll take you up to where they eat. So we have the self locks on the dairy. And that's so that if we need to work on the cattle for any reason, like say they need medication or vaccinations, or if we need to weigh and measure them, what they'll do is they'll stick their head through and we can turn the bar so that when they stick their head through, they can't pull it back out again until we want them to. And we usually only leave them locked up for maybe half an hour to an hour at a time maximum. And most of the times they're eating longer than that, so they don't even know that they're locked up. But through. And then this is what they're eating. It's calf grain, which is corn, bakery, and molasses, and it's mixed with alfalfa. And oh, you guys will like that. So the bakery is actually, there's big commercial bakeries where they'll make like Hostess donuts or like the bread that you guys buy on Nature Made. And if there's ever a batch that went bad, like say it got a little bit overcooked or it's a little bit stale or something like that, they'll grind it up and we can feed that to the cows. So that's another thing that we can do to reduce, reuse, recycle. I guess that's a phrase that was feed into me as a kid. And then the molasses, we just put it on there for taste. And it's basically like putting syrup on your pancakes. It's the same thing.
Aww.
And so that just makes the cows want to eat the food.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you can see they love sticking their head through. They stick it through. They eat as much as they want to eat. We feed up. They eat between 12 to 15 pounds of food a day. So that's quite a lot for a 7-month-old. But I mean, when you're a cow, it takes a lot of food. And when they
Right.
get older, they'll eat a lot more than that. And then, so we'll go back in the shade just because it's kind of in Arizona, you guys know it's kind of hot, and this is only the beginning of summer. But over here too, you might be able to see that there's a water trough, and we clean it every couple of days just to make sure that they're drinking as much fresh, cold water as they can.
Yeah.
And
That's
because
amazing.
they're Jerseys, you guys, I've talked before about the difference between Holsteins and Jerseys. So Holsteins are the typical black and white cow, and we have a lot of those on the dairy. You might have seen some of the Holstein cows over there when we were looking at their food. They are bigger cows. They make a lot of milk, but it's lower in fat and protein. Jerseys are smaller cows. They make less milk, but it's really high in fat and protein. So it's better for like cheese, ice cream, yogurt, that kind of stuff. And the other big difference, oh, here we go, is that like this one, Jerseys like to play a lot more than Holsteins do, which is why I normally pick Jerseys. Because if I went in a pen of Holsteins, they would be standing over there wondering what the heck I was doing, interfering with their life. And Jerseys are very nosy and they want the tea. So they will run over and start chewing on you the whole time that you're in the pen. So I usually try and pick Jerseys just because they're a little bit more photogenic, like Charlie over here. And they just like to hang out.
Aw. Well, we certainly have loved following Charlie and Elsie and Teddy all year long. We had a question that you kind of answered. So one had just asked, do they get any special treats? And I guess is the molasses kind of like their special treat in their food?
I mean, I think it's a special treat because I don't let my kids eat waffles and pancakes every day of the week, especially not drenched in syrup. But these girls get molasses on their food every single day. So it's like they're getting pancakes with syrup almost every day.
Right. That's awesome. Let's see. We had, a good question. So right now, obviously we know they're about 7 months old, right?
Yes.
Have they had any babies, or when will they have their first calf?
They have not had a baby yet. No. So cow years are, you know how it is. So if I say like a dog year is like 7 years for a person, with cows, it's closer to 10 years. So she normally will have her first baby on her second birthday, which is when she's about 20. So we usually start trying to get them pregnant when they're about 14 months old. So these ones are still 7 months away from being starting the process of having a baby. And just like any mammal, cows have to have a baby to make milk. So we usually make it so that they get pregnant and have a baby. And the goal would be to have a baby every year on their birthday. All of the calves in this program were from a first-time mom. So none of them have any siblings yet, at least full-blooded. Some of them might share the same baby daddy, but none of them had the same mom. And then, but their moms, all three of them, I checked this morning, all three of their moms are pregnant already. So they'll be having siblings pretty shortly here.
Oh, that's so exciting. Woohoo.
Because cows are pregnant for 9 months, just like people are. We usually give them about 2 months after they have a baby before we get them pregnant again. So if these ones are 7 months old, we would have started 5 months ago. So their moms are all about 4 months away from having their next baby.
Wow. So right around close to the same time that they would have been born, about a month earlier or so, but yeah.
Right. And perfect because we want them to have a baby at the same time every year.
Yeah.
So that's how I was able to get Charlie, because Charlotte, her mom, was an adopt a calf, and we try and get them to have a baby on their birthday. And so Charlotte actually did a great job, and she had the baby right in the same week of her birthday. So I was able to pick her calf as one of the adopted calves.
That's cool. That's amazing. Farmer Jen, we have a lot of people curious. We can see there's lots of cows behind you. There's clearly lots of cows in your pen. We're just curious, how many cows total do you have on your farm?
Oh, I actually took a picture of the inventory today. So as of this morning, we had 12,365 cows this morning. But
Wow.
I know already we had at least 2 born, so it's probably 12,367. So
Oh my goodness.
yeah.
Wow. So having that many animals, how do you as a farm manager and your team help keep eyes on all of them? What are some things that help you make sure you can manage all of those?
That is a great question. So we hire a lot of people who are veterinarians here on visas from Mexico. And so they're all trained veterinarians. They come up. We have one person who is in charge that is that has either been working with cows for a very long time or has that veterinarian degree. And they will be in charge of a group of cows, and then they have their whole team of people working underneath them. So that person will go out and they'll check all the cows, and if they find ones that have problems, they'll get their team out to come help them administer care to those cows. So, and it's kind of like a pyramid. We have all of the people that are in charge of helping that guy. I'm in charge of some of the ones that are in charge of cows, and then my dad, because we are a generational dairy, my dad is in charge of everybody.
Gotcha.
So every group of cows on the dairy has someone that's specifically in charge of them, and every person on the dairy that's in charge of cows has at least one or two other people that help them as they're in charge of those cows.
Wow. That's
Any
amazing.
cows that have specific special needs that we can't treat out in the pen, we actually have a hospital barn that we can take the cows to the hospital if we need to, and she'll receive special attention there. And then if it's something that we can't handle with our own personnel, we have a veterinarian clinic that we work with that they are on call 24 hours, 365, and they will come out and do whatever we need if we can't handle it here.
Wow.
We also have two different nutritionists that we work with, and they are the ones that are in charge of making up the recipes for the cows. And they come out every other week and they'll take samples of all of the feed that we've brought in. They're running it through laboratories, getting a nutritional analysis on it, and then coming up with the recipe for each different group of cows, depending on how old she is, if she's pregnant or not, everything like that. We group them in groups of between 100 and 300, and then they will feed the cows in that group within 1/10 of a degree of what they need for each vitamin, each mineral, fat, protein, all of that. Because the cows, we kind of consider them Olympic athletes. They're out here making between 100, 120 pounds of milk per cow per day. So we need to make sure that we're feeding them to support all of that energy that they're putting out.
Yeah. Wow.
And so you can see, maybe you can turn and show them. There's the big feed wagon going by. So the back of that is full of cow food, and he's on his way to drop it off at the next pen.
Oh, that's amazing. So you've got lots of personnel to keep track of the animals. We also have some people asking about their ear tags. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of the different ear tags that they have going on?
Oh, absolutely. And maybe she'll show you. So you can see right here, not only does she have an ear tag, she has a little white button in her ear, and that's a RFID tag. And so I have a special handheld computer out here that any cow that I want to know anything about, I can scan her RFID tag, and it'll tell me who she is, how old she is, how much she weighed last time we weighed and measured her. It'll tell me who her parents were, if she's ever been sick, when it was. It'll tell me when she got vaccinated, anything I need to know about this cow. It'll tell me if it's an older cow, it'll tell me how old she is, how much milk she's making, if she's pregnant or not, how many babies she's had. So anything I need to know about a cow, I can find out on the computer. They also have the ear tag with their number on it, because sometimes I'll come up with the list of cows that I need people to go find, and I'll give them the list of numbers, and I'll be like, hey, go look for 577, 688, 562. And that's just a good way that we can find them out. And then also, if any cow ever needs to be medicated, the person that's in charge of that group of animals has a notebook that they keep a running list of every cow that they treated and what they treated it with. And then they'll go take it and put it into the computer to make sure that we're keeping track of that.
Wow. Cool. Who would have thought that just a simple number just is so important to make sure you guys can help manage and take care of those cows? That's awesome.
Oh, absolutely. And because I can't think of 12,000 different names, we don't name every cow. We just put numbers on them. But some of our favorite cows have names. The adopted calves have names. My daughter's 4-H project cows have names. And then sometimes a cow just sticks out for some reason and we really like her, and we'll give her a name too. And there's a special part in the computer where I can put that. Or if we really like her, we'll put it on her ear tag and put it in her ear so everybody knows.
I love it. I mean, yeah, 12,000 names would be a little bit tricky to remember, so that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
Farmer Jen, we've got a lot of amazing questions coming in, so I'm going to try and
I
get through a
love it.
couple
I
of
want to
these
answer
for you.
questions.
We were curious, do you know who your first cow was by any chance when this farm was started? Or like any a legacy cow or anything like that?
So when we started the dairy, my dad started the dairy with his partner and they got 500 cows in. His partner had a thing about white cows. And so they picked the cow that was almost completely white with barely any black on it. And they named her number one. But after that, it was what the first cow that went through the milk barn or the next cow after that. That's how we numbered them. But
Nice.
my dad, if you ask him, he has stories about specific cows and which one he liked best. And he remembers that this cow liked eating all the carrots and that one liked, eating corn better. That one had he remembers like cow 375 had a horn on one side and she could use it to open a gate. And she would just sit there and do that and open the gate until she got out and let all the cows out of the pen. So, it's funny. But yeah, one of my favorite cows, it was the first Jersey that was ever born, and her name was Nesquik because, the joke, everybody knows that brown cows make chocolate milk.
Nesquik. I like that. That's super cute. Let's see. How about another question? We've got some folks who paid attention to your video that you talked about your farm and you mentioned specifically the methane power plant. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? And I think you mentioned it briefly, but do you want to talk a little bit about how you guys power your farm with manure? And if you guys can unmute her, that would be great. Then I can hear her. We're still muted. Give us 1 second, guys. We just got to get her unmuted here. So while we get Jen set up, I know she made a joke that, chocolate milk comes from brown cows. As we know, that is not true, but it's always a fun thing to think. But all milk from cows is white and pretty much the exact same from cow to cow. And then the milk is processed and sent somewhere to be turned into chocolate milk and cheese and yogurt and all those good things. So it looks like we're getting Farmer Jen back on here. So Farmer Jen, can we hear you?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Let's see. Your screen is a little bit blurry for us. And if we can get the blurred background turned off on that camera, that would be great. Then we can still see everything. But we will get you back up here. All right.
Sorry guys. One of the benefits to living out in the country is I don't have to deal with all the traffic, but one of the negatives is that I don't get the benefit of good internet out here. So we kind of get what we get. And a bird that's too big flies by, it cuts off the single beam of internet that I get out here sometimes. So.
All good. We appreciate it.
So I think you were asking about the methane digester. We actually do not use the methane digester to power the dairy, because there are companies that were willing to pay more money than normal, I guess, since it's considered green electricity. And so they'll pay more money for it. So we actually sell it. It gets sold to some of the, I think, bigger box stores. But we do make enough electricity out here just by all of the cow manure. Before we use it to fertilize the fields, we use it to make, hey, that's my ponytail. But we make enough to power between 400 to 500 houses. So it's just something that to make sure that, again, dairy farmers are tied to the land. We need to make sure that we're taking care of it because, I mean, our property, we've got a lot of cows out here. It's pretty big. if we ended up having to move, it wouldn't be the same as if you just picked up and bought a new house. We'd have to find and build a new house for all 12,367 cows. So it's a pretty big undertaking. So we just want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to take care of the land that we have right where we are.
Oh, nope, that makes sense. You guys
Awesome.
are great caretakers of the farm, and it's very clear. I mean, obviously these cows love you. They've been giving you all kinds of love and attention. Farmer Jen, I'm gonna try and get one or two questions here yet, and then we'll start wrapping it up. We were
Okay.
curious, how do you know when a cow is sick, and then what do you do as a farmer to help them feel better?
That is a great question. So if a cow is sick, she can't just come up and tell you. And I might have exaggerated the truth a little bit and told my kids that I know how to speak cow, because I don't. But one way that you can really tell is their ears. So if you look at all these cows, you'll see their ears are up and their eyes are bright. But like if you look at Charlie right here, you see how her ears are like very alert. When they don't feel good, their ears will droop, their eyes get a little bit kind of sunken, and then one way that you can tell is they just start breathing kind of hard. If you ever see a cow that's laying down when the feed truck goes by and everybody else is eating, that means that she didn't feel good enough to go get up and eat, and that's a great sign that she's not feeling good.
Gotcha.
So at that point, mom will take their temperature, and if she has one, they, based on the symptoms, will pick the antibiotic. We've got a couple different antibiotics that are approved for cow usage. So we'll pick which antibiotic we think is best, and then we start her on the vaccine. We'll also give them some cow Tylenol just to make sure that they're not feeling bad while they are sick.
Sure.
But great question. Thank you.
Yeah, so very similar to us as humans, and you're gonna do everything you
And
can.
a lot of times what we'll do is we give them fluids. It's called supportive care. We'll either give them an IV or something with cow Gatorade in it, just to make sure that it's the same thing if you go to the hospital, they might put you on an IV, but they also tell you to drink a lot while you're sick. And it's just to make sure that you're flushing out your system.
Yeah, absolutely. Very cool. Well, thank you, Farmer Jen, for sharing that. We had a couple people curious about that, especially with all those animals. So it makes sense. Everyone's got eyes on them. They're all watching them. You all get to know all those animals really well. So you can learn what is good and what's not pretty quickly. So awesome.
Kind of the same. And here we finally Teddy's come up to say hi. We'll see if she lets me pet her. Hey, Teddy. And then we got Elsie right over there. So they're getting a little jealous that Charlie's been getting all the action. They want their time on camera too.
Right. I know you couldn't
so
see
I
it
told
while
you
you
guys, Teddy got pneumonia really bad when she was a calf. And the way we could tell it was that she had boogers for days. She was breathing hard and she had all kinds of boogers coming out. And it's the same as like when a little kid sneezes. She sneezed and they would just go rocketing out like a walrus. So that's how we knew she was sick. So that's what we gave her medicine. And thank you. We gave her medicine and now she's doing great. She's a little bit shorter than the other cows, but she's catching up. So we're proud of her.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Farmer Jen, you and your team clearly do an amazing job caring for your animals and your land and being a great member of the community. We really appreciate all the hard work you and your team do to care for not only our adorable calves, which we really appreciate, but the 12,000 other animals, because you are the reason we're getting to drink milk and eat ice cream and all the good stuff. So we really appreciate that. But it is a lot of work. We've talked about how you're up, sunrise to sunset. So I'm curious, what's your why behind all of this? I know you mentioned it's a generational farm, but why do you do what you do every day?
So that is a great question. And I feel like I have a pretty good, I know because I grew up on the dairy, but I went to school in California and I actually stayed in California for a couple of years. I went to work for a big bank and, it was fine, but I didn't love it. And I missed working on the dairy every day. And when I finally decided, when I was pregnant with my oldest daughter, and I finally decided that I wanted to come back, and luckily we had the opportunity. We had just expanded the dairy. And so we needed more help out here. So I came back kind of part-time and I was just doing a little bit of stuff on the dairy. And when I say part-time, I was only working 6 hours a day back then. But I love working on the dairy. I love working with cows. I love that every day is different. I love that I get to be outside. I love that I'm doing something important, which is making food for people. I mean, that's one thing, everybody's got to eat, right?
Yeah.
I love that I get to work with my family. My dad's the manager. My mom also, she's the office manager. She does all the billing and stuff. So I love that I get to work with family. And just, I mean, other than the flies, there's not a lot I don't love about working on a dairy.
That's awesome. We
And
really
Charlie's back
appreciate.
again. Excited that Teddy gave
We,
up her spotlight. Teddy is right there, kind of deciding, and Charlie's like, "Nope, this is my time to shine." I think I
right.
told you earlier that every year I get 3 calves, and every year I get one that is the total attention hog and spends the whole time trying to get my attention. I'll get one that's kind of curious, and that'll be Teddy, who, maybe she wants to, maybe she doesn't. And then I got Elsie, who is like, "You crazy paparazzi. Why are you stalking me? Stop taking my picture. Go away."
They
So
all definitely have their own
they,
personalities.
especially Jerseys, definitely have personality.
Yeah.
So
Oh man. Well, Farmer Jen, thank you so much for your time today doing this live chat with us and sharing your adorable calves with us. But also just for doing this entire program all year long. We've loved following all three of them, getting to learn how they grow and mature on your farm. We are certainly excited for one day when they get to join the milking herd and have their own calf sometime next year. But for now, they'll just get to hang out and hang out with their herd mates and eat and sleep and drink and do just about nothing all day long. But until then, we're hoping they'll grow have healthy and strong, and excited to maybe meet some future adopted calves next year. So, is there anything else you wanted to share with us before we tune off today?
I just want to say thank you guys for joining the program. I love that you're trying to learn about agriculture from someone that's in agriculture.
Mhm.
And I mean, do your part to support me. Like, go out and drink some milk, eat some cheese, have some ice cream.
Yeah, yeah, agreed, right? When you drink or eat any dairy products, you are directly supporting our dairy farmers of the country, of the United States. And of course, if you're local, it probably is coming, could be coming from Jen's farm. So that's exciting. Thank you all for being part of this program. I echo what she says, make sure to sign up and re-enroll next year. We really loved having you in the program this year. Teachers, thank you for choosing to include agriculture in your classroom and really helping your kids to know where food comes from. It's so important that we know the farmer behind the product. And if you have any questions, Farmer Jen. She'll answer anything you want to know. So reach out to a real farmer if you have any questions. We're happy to hear from you. And with that, we hope you all join us next year. Registration opens May 1st. And until then, we hope you all have a wonderful summer. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.